Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me, I have a special guest. I actually looked him up, found him, and asked him to be on my show. And he is Eric Mitchell. He is a mindset coach for high performers. Eric, tell us where you're from and how did you become a mindset coach for high performers? It's specific.
I'm really blessed to be on the show. I love it. I really appreciate you reaching out, and just going to be an exciting conversation, which is really great. So I'm born and raised outside of Philadelphia in the western suburbs. Was a multi-sport athlete in college. Did not go to school originally for the what I did for the longest time was a performance coach for youth athletes, and then all the way up to professional athletes. I was a military history and international relations major in college, and just got out and said, well, I wasn't going to go in the Marine Corps and be a lawyer, so I wanted to channel my energy to serve my country a little differently, and that's to help the youth of America. I've been involved with the Parisi Speed School system, which is an international training system for youth for the past 23 years, but been a coach for 30. Started to make this transition out of youth performance, which I still do, but also really attacking the adult market with motivation. That's number one. And then addressing the burnout rate of high performers. And honestly, a high performer could be anybody. I don't care if it's somebody that is a stay-at-home mom or dad. It is a person that is working in a hotel. It's a person that's working in a convenience store. It's a person that's a CEO of a company. Doesn't matter. They're all high performers. How do you recognize the signs, these ripples that we don't look at necessarily right away? And I came up with the Tsunami Effect coaching after a really emotional crisis I had last year. And I built this company called the Tsunami Effect Coaching, wrote a book about it. And really, it's recognizing the ripples of fear, anxiety, frustration, and depression before they become ridiculously destructive waves like a tsunami on our shoreline. So our conscious and subconscious mind. So that's the kind of the genesis of what I've been doing for the past year to develop this program, and I accelerated it, and it's been pretty wonderful to see the reaction. I know it's really awesome that we talk about the connections that we make, is that the network that we've built is really the foundation of everything you've got. So a great deal of the business that I've gotten are from relationships that I've built. And it's a real big piece of the tsunami effect, how you develop and nurture relationships.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you went on your own journey
Mhm.
with dealing with a tsunami. Tell us more about
Yeah.
that.
Wow. So my girlfriend Karen of 8 years, around January of last year, uh, decided that we weren't going in the right direction, that I was not motivated to keep moving forward, to grow with her, and she wanted to not talk to me for 30 days. I made a joke later on that it was definitely the let them theory. She was a big Mel Robbins fan. And
Oh, okay.
and I've subsequently written to Mel Robbins to say, hey, you were the genesis of me recreating my life.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
after we went through those 30 days, Karen had said that we were done, our relationship was finished, and I said I didn't accept that. I wrote her a 5-page letter that spanned relationship, religion. I'm a single parent of a soon-to-be 16-year-old son next week. How I was parenting, all those different things. She paused and said, "You know what? That's not the conversation I thought we'd be having." She thought I would just give up, and I didn't. And thankfully, I can tell you a couple different things. I found Christ, which is really a wonderful thing for me.
Oh,
Uh,
that is awesome.
it was really an incredible experience. And Karen and I are back together, and things are going stronger than ever as a result of the fact that I committed to growing myself, becoming a better partner, a better parent, a better person in the end. And it was the genesis to write the book. She was the catalyst for it. I always say that God spoke to me through her. The book's dedicated to her, And
Mm.
that's just been the whole process. And she's very much involved now with growing the business. The ultimate goal is that she becomes my partner in this for not just life, but for business. And my son Cole becoming a partner in this as well. It's legacy. I wanted to
Yes.
build a company that was mine, that I could have my son say when I was no longer here, my dad was a good man.
Oh, that is amazing. I love it. I love the fact that, you didn't let the crisis
No.
take you out.
And I just got
You
emotional. You have to bear with me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That may happen on my show now. But but that's awesome that you didn't let the tsunami take you out.
Yes.
And but you took a what made you when you talk about mindset change, some people if a wife, girlfriend, or whoever say, don't I'm not talking to you for 30 days, so they some people can't recover from that. What was it that clicked in your mind that made you say, I have to do something?
Yeah, I think it was a spiritual awakening for me, that I was acknowledging for the first time that I needed God to guide me. And
Hmm.
so I had spent 57 years, I'm 58 years old. I spent 57 years not acknowledging that. And coming from a mixed religion family at my childhood, we didn't really grow up with anything other than traditions of each religion. And so I think it was more that it was just time, Martha. I couldn't tell you that it was um, that there was anything definitive other than that.
Okay.
I woke up one morning at 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. has become very significant for me. So I get up and I journal and pray every morning at 4:30. And that may have been the catalyst that I woke up with that kind of was where it was. I just decided I didn't want to lose Karen. I didn't want to lose her. And here's the interesting thing though. Had I, it would have been okay because I was still going down the path for me to develop myself so that I could help more people. I've always helped people. So the platform that I'm in, sports performance, people would look at it and say, "Oh, we're just making people faster and stronger and everything." I don't I don't see it that way. I see that we're developing confidence and belief in people because we have a terrible crisis in this country. Aside from all the others, we have a lack of self-confidence in this country. And so now you have an entire generation, actually two generations now, that have zero belief in themselves. So if my job was to help youths develop belief and confidence, and you know what it is, when they come back to you 20, 30 years, 20 to 30 years later and say, you made an impact on me that I did this, it's a humbling experience to hear that.
Yes, it is.
It really is. And sometimes we can consider ourselves high performers in the field that we're in. We're such empaths because we listen to people and we absorb their energy. And oftentimes we have a tough time accepting the fact that we've helped somebody.
That
We
is
will,
true. You do feel this sense of humility and sense
sure.
of like, oh my God, God really used me.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe, and just to see the transformation is so encouraging. And then, and I know it helps me as well. But you mentioned the burnout rate.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit
sure.
about that because that's such a key thing. Tell the audience more about that.
So I've come up with this idea, and I don't think it's not necessarily my idea. It's just, this has been going on for a long time. Burnout's a funny term. People use it, I think, a little bit. They throw it around too much. I think what happens is that we don't recognize that there's, like, again, those ripples in our lives. We don't see them because the analogy of a tsunami is pretty remarkable. If a tsunami occurs, generally out to sea, you would never know there was anything going on. The waves are about 6 to 12 inches high. It's just an
Mm,
enormous amount of energy that's expelled from an underwater earthquake. But as it gets closer to shore, it piles up on itself. The wavelength slows down, and it's not like a traditional wave that crests and falls. It's just a mass of boiling water that can be anywhere from 10 meters high to 30 meters high. There have been tsunamis that have been over 300 feet high. But it's not just one, it's several. So what the tsunami does, and it kind of ties into what burnout is, it slams ashore, it destroys things, and then it pulls the debris out to sea, and then the next wave hits. With now you
mm.
have blunt force ridiculous things, railroad tracks, trains, trucks that just slam into people. And then, I mean, it's the end. And so what I was looking at is how do we see those ripples of the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, and the depression that often high performers get because they're ignoring it. They're focusing on everybody else but themselves.
That is so true.
Yeah. And so I said there's a three things that they don't see. They do not take care of their health. And if I don't have my health, I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then my relationships become affected because my health
Mm-hmm.
is both my mental and physical health. And then last, my career is affected. And we have this weird thing in this country that's inversed where we think, no, career comes first. That's just not viable for us as human beings. We need to be healthy. We need to have good, proper relationships, positive relationships. And if we have any negative ones, you do your best to get out of them. You do
That's
your
true.
best. Your career is a distant third. And when you start to acknowledge that if you ignore the first two, you will burn out. You'll stop having the fire to make yourself better. You see it all the time. And I'm sure you've seen this with people that you've dealt with in relationships where they're on autopilot. There's
Oh,
literally
yes.
so that's the burnout that I'm looking at, not just people making this generalization. Oh, I'm so burned out. And then you
Right.
ask them what that means. They're like, I don't know what that means. So that's what I'd say it is.
And I love how you describe it because it is that ripple effect.
Mhm.
And as you was talking about it, I can visualize it. And because I've dealt with burnout before at that
Sure.
level. And so, and I'm sure people that that's in business,
Mhm.
when you get to that level, it shuts down your creativity.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned also about I'm so excited. I'm like you mentioned it's so good. I love how you help youth and now you're helping high performers. You mentioned that high performers are your everyday people that people don't really think about themselves as high performers. How would I
Correct.
be able to tell what that mean in my personal life? I'm just saying in general to the audience. How would I know I'm a high performer?
I think if we're living and we're trying to help others, we're trying to
Mhm.
serve others, we're high performers.
Okay.
So my belief in high performance, and by the way, I've trained the highest level NFL football players. I've trained professional tennis players. I'm actually in the midst of training a young man that's preparing to be in the Delta Force. And they're all high performers and they all have the same insecurities. People don't realize that. I think what we do is, especially I've been blessed. I've been able to train athletes at the highest level. And yet, what people don't realize is they're people as
That is
well.
true.
And
Hmm.
they have the same insecurities that we all have. I'm not good enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not mentally prepared. And I think sometimes we create these superheroes of our professional athletes. They're our superheroes. They're the Marvel superheroes in our world. They're not,
Right.
it's not Iron Man and and Thor and Black Panther and everything like that. Though we love them, we love to see them
Right.
because
Right.
they're heroes. But if you ask me, a high performer is somebody that's going to serve others in their sphere, and they're going to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So it could be anything. And it's funny we were talking about that. I had a person who I was training who's a stay-at-home mom, and she didn't consider herself anything. She would consider herself. She was like, "Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's all I am." I'm like, "That's all you are." I said,
That's major.
"Are you kidding? Like, look at the stuff you're doing. Like, that's superhero, super high performing
Yes.
abilities." So if I was able to give her that guidance, I looked at it and said, you know what, everybody's a high performer, and we all fall under these frailties and weaknesses that human beings have. That's what I say. I would say that.
I'm glad you mentioned that because when I think of stay-at-home moms, I don't think of them being just stay-at-home moms, especially me being a mom myself and
Right.
understanding that what it took to raise children. I look at them as a coach
Oh, I love that you said that.
because they actually you talk about preventative care.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how I see them. I see them as a coach for their children in their children's lives.
And I think coach is the highest form of respect. If you're called
Yes.
coach, like nobody realizes it. When I coach,
Hmm.
I also I'm a senior coach with Parisi, and I go all over the country certifying coaches. And we tell them all the time, you have to get out of your mindset. You're not a trainer. A trainer
Right.
affects the moment. A coach affects the future. So everybody that walks this planet, that in our sphere especially, we're all coaches. And when someone calls you coach, maybe when someone says doctor, but
Right.
coach is probably the most important job on the planet.
I think so too. Because
Yeah,
when you're raising your children, you literally coaching them and you seeing their lives transform as they learn, teaching them their ABCs and watching them learn it. That's transformation. Sometimes we don't look at those. We look at those as so minute that we miss what we have inside of us and the confidence we can gain for just reframing what we do, right?
absolutely. Well, I love what you said about ABCs because so when I introduce things to people, it doesn't matter whether if it's a 7-year-old athlete or a CEO of a company, a mom, a dad, whoever it might be. I'll always ask them, could you, I'll say, do you know your ABCs? And they're all like, of course, yeah. And I said, well, could you write a story if you didn't know your ABCs? And they're all like, no. And I said, well, then, okay, so if you don't understand the foundations of everything that we're talking about, how can you possibly create words, sentences, paragraphs, and stories about your life if you're not willing to start with the base of your ABCs? And
Right.
it's a perfect kind of analogy for people to see like, yeah, I have to understand the basics about myself first. But not many people stop and think about what's their place, how do they feel about
Exactly.
themselves. Yeah,
That is so true. So you mentioned about the business that you want to leave as a legacy. Tell us
yeah,
how you are forming that business.
sure.
What is it gonna look like?
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, speaking's a big piece of it, getting out and speaking to
Mhm.
large groups, which I'm already establishing, creating a course, not just one course, but several courses that are going to tie into the tsunami effect. I'm going to also write a second book that's going to be about father-son relationships, especially my relationship with my son, because I have full custody of him. And that's a real important thing for me to foster that relationship. So I want to build a company that's going to help an awful lot of people in a lot of different areas so that honestly my son could take charge of that company and he could leave that the legacy is going to be that tsunami effect is going to help so many people that it's going to last for generations so that I build something that people are going to be able to use in the future when I'm not here any longer. And if it branches off, there's terrific. There's great opportunities that can be built, I think, from not just, I don't say not just self-help, but that mindset development is really important. So I envision it like that, where it's going to become something that's going to be a mainstay in our culture.
That's awesome. So that's a big call, big call, and it's gonna. And I know you have the faith to do it. So I'm looking forward to how it's gonna, you know, how it's gonna be as you continue to grow in it. That's awesome. So what is your onboarding process? Because when you mention mindset coach for high performers,
Well, the conversations are really important. So what I've been and I keep saying this, and I have been blessed by the relationships I've already built. So I always say for me, the low hanging fruit are the people that I've associated with for so long, whether it be in the Parisi Speed School or when I did work with Training for Warriors, which was training MMA fighters, and then also it trailed into everyday people. The onboarding process is conversations where
nice.
it's bringing people in. So it's not just, it's to me, it's not a sales pitch. It's
Okay.
me communicating with people first. The first piece is I want to know somebody's story. And once I learn their story, then we can start talking about whether it be individualized coaching or developing a membership program. Don't forget, I'm really getting my hands and arms around how am I going to do this? How will I market it the way I want to? The book has been a really big eye opener for a lot of people in my sphere. So not only have people bought the book, but I have many people I just send it to, and I'm going to send you a copy. So,
Oh,
I
that
mean,
is so
yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Because here's what I think. if someone reads it and they can gather something from it, and then they decide perhaps they want to work with me, great. And as I develop this, more and more people are asking, actually, well, can you coach me? Can you coach me? Can you coach me? And that's what's starting to happen. Now, I want to tell you this really quick story. I trained these two twins who play tennis here in outside Philadelphia. Their parents are neurosurgeons at a hospital in Philadelphia. The dad was watching me coach, and he said to me, could this translate into coaching surgeons and doctors? And I
Wow.
said, as a matter of fact, it can. And so I introduced Tsunami to him. He bought the book, and he said, Eric, we got to get you in. We don't have any personal development that we do for surgeons, doctors, and medical students. He goes, we don't have it. So organically, just from coaching two 11-year-old tennis players, suddenly Tsunami Effect is going to be potentially implemented at a large hospital in Philadelphia. So,
Oh, that is
right.
amazing.
And that's what I mean by I've nurtured the relationships because I took care of me finally. I took care of me a year ago. And for me, the mental and physical transformation's been pretty remarkable for me. I've always been in great condition until last year. For my height, I was overweight. People didn't know it, or like they didn't realize it. They were like, "No, you're in great shape." I'm like, "I wasn't though," and I
Mm,
changed everything to fix my health first, both physically and mentally. First mentally, then physically.
right.
Then I could nurture better relationships and not be afraid to ask people. They've always known me. Oh, you're Eric, the Parisi guy, the sports performance coach. Oh, okay. All of a sudden now I had to change into this mindset coach. So my onboarding is building stronger relationships.
That's one of the best onboarding processes is building relationships because we are created to be relational and we reach people that way from the heart. We reach from the heart that way. And that's amazing what you're doing. And I'm excited about what you're doing. That is awesome. 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 And so if you can give our audience
Mhm.
one piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay, this is a big one. Start to write down how you're feeling every day, morning and night. I'm big into journaling. I've been journaling for over a year now. It's literally over a year. I used to start it, then stop it, but for the last year, I've really been diving into find out about you, what drives you spiritually, what drives you mentally, and then what drives you physically. And if you do that each day in the morning and you do it at night, you make it, I don't say it's a routine, you make it part of who you are, that you're going to find out a lot about yourself and be open and be very honest with you. That's a big piece of it, so that you can develop the love of yourself, and then you're going to translate it over into the relationships that you develop. But that's what I believe. I believe if you sit down and write things down about where you are, you're going to find more clarity, and not enough people do it. And or they just do it cursory. They just are like, well, yeah, okay, well, whatever. I wrote down how I feel. No, dive a little deeper. I use I use the high performance journal that Brendan Bouchard publishes through his company. I love it.
Okay.
And it's been terrific for me.
And you write about, I'm a journal. I mean, I journal every morning, and
Mhm.
and that's my way of my devotion with the Lord. I
Yes.
journal how I feel because He made us so. He built us so amazing where our bodies communicate with us, and we want to pay attention to what is communicated. So if I wake up, sometimes you don't. I know me. I don't know about anybody else. I wake up sometimes in strange moods, and nobody did anything to
You're
me.
not alone in that.
And so, and so I'm like, today I feel this and this. And when I
Mhm.
finish journaling, I am so encouraged after that because I'm assessing and I find out things about myself that I did not pay attention to. And it's usually root causes to why this is happening. And so you write about that journaling thing is so key. Thanks for that brilliant tip because that's that's a game changer. And if you have to use whatever you have to use to journal, that fit
Absolutely.
you, go ahead because it's worth it.
Sure.
And it would definitely give you a new mindset. And so as a
Totally agree.
mindset coach,
Hmm.
what do you often see when people say, I need you to coach me? What are some of the most familiar things you see to that you have to challenge people to change their mindset on?
People don't believe in themselves. I mean, that might be the number one thing where there's a lot of doubt. I'll hear people say, well, I hope I do this right, or I didn't do this right. I can't do this. I hear that all the time. And I try to get people to understand, replace I can't with I can't yet. I won't
Right.
yet. I hope I change. I hope. No, no, no. You're quite capable of doing this. The question is, are you going to apply it to make yourself more confident? I have across the board. That's the one thing I hear over and over again. I don't believe in myself. And by the way, they mask it. High performers mask it so well, and yet they don't. They crack under pressure. So listen, I was a high performer, and then the slightest crack in my wall, or I didn't have any citadels on my on so I could look out on to see the ripples. I just had a wall. Well, it crumbled, and all the high performing jargon just fell apart because I wasn't really high performing. I had a mask of high performance going.
Yes.
So, and often that's what it is. I have a good friend who's a CEO of a tech company, and he said, Eric, a CEO should have two people on his speed dial: his therapist and his life coach. That's what he said to me. I was like, that sounds good. So I could be your life coach. So it was very interesting. And I always say this: if anybody has anything that's clinically going on, you must seek professional help.
Oh, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
must, no doubt.
Absolutely, no
Yeah,
doubt. Isn't it interesting how I love how you say I mask before. I know what that is. You say one thing and do another. You're incongruent.
yes.
And I notice pay close attention now to when I'm incongruent. And I may say something. It's because my ideal self hope I be that way. Know I can be that way, but not doing it. Right.
Boy, you got that right. Yes.
And so why is it, what is behind that not having that confidence? Like for some reason, we believe we see other people do it.
Sure.
What is behind that, in
I
your
think
opinion?
I think that what's happened in this society is we have this paralysis by analysis now. We have way too many things bombarding our generations, uh, through social media, through the news, so much negativity, so much division. I think that has accelerated it. I think it was, as the society has gotten faster, the communication level has gotten smaller and smaller, which means the ability to communicate with somebody is smaller. So the breadth of it is really much faster now. So we have a shorter period of time. Our attention spans are really low, and you know what? I I think social media is great on a lot of levels. I also think social media has bred tremendous amounts of division. If we're just looking at the microcosm of this country,
Yes.
tremendous amount of division. There is no middle ground any longer. People are angrier than they've ever been before. And by the way, listen, the pandemic didn't help. We were isolated.
Right.
That really hurt our youth. That was really damaging. Yeah, I think it's the pace that we're at right now. If I took youth performance, the pressure on kids is so vastly different from the pressure that I went under as a kid as an
Right.
athlete. The kids are expected to be little professional athletes, and I hate to tell parents that the statistics are it's 0.02% of the population that plays professional sports, and
Woo.
it's only 7% of high school athletes go on to play at any level in college, and only 4% of those kids play
Mm.
Division One. And I just think the pressure's gotten worse. What's really scary is my son's generation is, I think that this 16 to, like, right now, they're suffering the worst because I think that social media has made it far worse for them. They don't communicate the same way that they do. You know what? Maybe it's also we don't communicate well any longer. We just yell and
Right.
argue, and that's very unfortunate as to how that's going. And I think that's probably what it is. There's just too much information going around now.
Yeah, I say that too. Too much information and no, and they don't know how to utilize it.
Exactly.
It's overwhelming. It can be damaging. It can definitely shut you down.
No doubt. I think it's, and you said it, we're social creatures. We're designed to build relationships.
Mhm.
And when we were isolated for so long, that's a real problem. And the accessibility now, phones, tablets, computers, like we don't need
Yes,
to communicate with people. And I think that's very unfortunate.
it is. It's really dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And so, wow, Eric, you have shared some amazing wisdom, and I am truly grateful that you uh, were able to speak to my audience today. And I will definitely put all of your links
Okay.
in the video so that they can know how to reach you.
Awesome.
And
I
if you
love
need a
it.
mindset coach, you have one right here. Eric Mitchell is one of the greatest mindset coaches you can ever hire. He has the heart, he has the background, he has life experience, and what an amazing coach you can have. And reach out to him if you looking to grow and get out of a situation that's stuck. Here's a person you can reach out to. Or if you need a different way to look at yourself and you don't believe you're a high performer, find out if you are. If you need that encouragement, reach out to him. Great resource. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming on. And to the audience, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like and comment. And also, if you know someone who really can utilize Eric as a coach, please share this video with them, because I promise you, you can actually help that person move the needle. And so, I just want to say to you, happy Monday and have a fantastic day. It's your time to shine. Your journey to chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now. Let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.